Joel, you've mentioned before the concept of front-running Wall Street.
Sure.
That's a fascinating concept to me because that's not historically how these types of monetary systems work. So can you tell us real quick about what does it mean to front-run Wall Street?
Okay, so Wall Street usually gets to good stuff first,
Yeah.
right? So Wall Street and venture capital firms are investing in Google and Amazon and Facebook and Tesla when it's not even legal for average Americans. In order for an average American to invest in a privately held company, not publicly traded but privately held, you have to have a net worth above $1 million excluding your house. So in addition to your house, you have to have a net worth of $1 million. Otherwise, you're not legally allowed to invest in a private company in the United States. So Bitcoin is a money. So it's both a money and an investment, because when a money is going through the process of becoming universally used, it's an incredible investment opportunity. So it's one of the first and only opportunities where everybody anywhere in the world, I mean, from Uganda to Ethiopia to, everywhere, you can buy something before Wall Street figured out that this was a big deal. Now, Wall Street's figuring that out, right? I mean, 2024, the Bitcoin exchange traded funds came online, but most of Wall Street is still messing around with stocks and bonds and the old stuff. And they're skeptical of, most of them have sort of come around by now, but there's still people on Wall Street that are skeptical that it's like, this is not how we do things. And so it's just this incredible opportunity for average people to say, hey, we're going through a monetary revolution where we're moving from made up money by governments to money you can't make up out of thin air, called Bitcoin, and you can invest in it. And you can invest in it ahead of when most of the people on Wall Street are going to invest in it.
Okay.
So when I say front-running Wall Street, what I mean is this is something that's available to everyone that people can adopt before people on Wall Street adopt, and therefore get more of the benefit instead of waiting till a lot of the benefit is already passed, and then jumping on board, for example, when a company goes public.
Right. So you're saying if you're buying bits of Bitcoin or a whole Bitcoin at like 100,000 instead of once Wall Street figures it out and it goes up to like 500,000 or whatever.
Right. So at some point in the coming years, countries will adopt it as their official currency. Central banks will be buying Bitcoin they'll be printing money out of thin air and using it to turn around and buy something scarce, Bitcoin. Like, huge companies will be adopting it as their primary treasury reserve asset. When that happens, you're going to see Bitcoin at hundreds of thousands of dollars per coin, or potentially one day, millions of dollars per coin. And that same Bitcoin is in the ballpark of $100,000 right now. And major countries, so if you just go through it, how many countries today have adopted Bitcoin as, and I'll go through the numbers, have adopted Bitcoin as their reserve currency if they issue their own currency? The answer is 0. El Salvador adopted Bitcoin as legal tender, but they are a US dollar economy. So they can't make up US dollars because only the US government gets to do that. So there's only a few countries like Bhutan and El Salvador and a few others that even own any Bitcoin. None of them are printing money out of thin air, which will happen when they figure out, hey, we can print up the made up money and use it to buy the scarce money. That's a big deal. No major company other than Tesla owns significant Bitcoin on their balance sheet. Other than Tesla and MicroStrategy, there's like a couple, but it's none of like the big companies most people are aware of. They own 0 Bitcoin. Like, that's all going to change. And when that happens, Bitcoin will be radically more valuable than it is today. And today, average people can buy Bitcoin. Before the companies and the countries and the central banks and the sovereign wealth funds and the family offices, and before all of these things buy a bunch of Bitcoin, average people can buy it right now.
Yeah, that's a big deal.